Hello there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Supercast Brothers, the show where I'm tortured by the guy over there on an unending basis. Weep for me because I am sad. I'm also Zantok, otherwise known as Lister, and you can put that on my tombstone when I eventually just get murdered by him or something. This guy over here. I mean, God, what is even his name? Sometimes I wish I didn't remember. Was it Butt? I think it was Butt. Hey, Butt, how's it going over there?
I'm weeping for you.
I appreciate it.
Oh, there's actual tears. I hope you're proud.
You know, I think I can see them. You're just a little far away from me to tell for sure. But it does look like there's just like a little bit right here. A little bit. Oh, yeah. There it is. Now you're close enough. I can just... That's what we like to see. Alright then. I mean, hey, this is an episode where we're making a moveset, so it does make sense there'd be some fighting.
Wait, what?
What?
I just flat out didn't hear what you said.
Wow. See, he doesn't even listen to me. And I put so much work into the schedule and make sure that things are happening on my end, they're happening on time. I can't control his end. I don't want to control his end. It's a big one.
Wow.
Anyways. Supercast Brothers, we're back once again. Oh boy. It's a Smashtopia episode as always, and this one's
gonna be fun.
I don't know what to expect out of this one. This is a character that I found very hard to make work on my end, because we're doing Marshal from Rhythm Heaven, and technically Marshal's he's kind of just like the host of one of the games or something. I don't understand Rhythm. I just know it's WarioWare-esque in that there's a fuck ton of quick mini games, but it's rhythm, it's music, and as anybody who has listened to a few of these should know, I don't listen to music at all.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So, this one was hard. But I'm gonna kick it over to the guy that actually knows these games. So, Jonno, I don't know, man, what the fuck?
Like a little bit about Marshal before we get into the moveset?
Yeah, please talk about Marshal and the games, I would say.
Okay. Rhythm Heaven began as a Game Boy Advance Japan exclusive title back in the early 2000s as a complement to the WarioWare titles, as you say. It's a collection of not necessarily all micro games, like Marshal's most iconic game that he appears in is Nightwalk, which certainly is not micro. But they're certainly mini games of a similar aesthetic. They're very humor-driven games that are compiled within various worlds of Heaven World, as they say. Not Rhythm Heaven, they call it Heaven World.
What?
The world which these characters inhabit is Heaven World. And yeah, that's in the English translation.
That's fucking dumb.
I know.
That's just fucking dumb.
Yep. So, but nonetheless, you make your way through Heaven World in this game, or up towards Heaven World, and encounter rhythm-based adventures through micro games, mini games on the way up. As you say, Marshal is the main host, like the box character of Rhythm Heaven Fever on the Wii. Great title. I think that's my favorite Rhythm Heaven game, a lot like how Smooth Moves is my favorite WarioWare title. Just coincidentally. Motion control didn't really work well for a lot of stuff, but it worked well for those games.
And Fever is generally considered the most popular game in the series, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He also appears in Rhythm Heaven. I think it's Mega Mix on the 3DS as well. So the next surprised you haven't gotten a Switch title, but that's beyond the point. So yeah, he's one of a cabal of characters that we could have chosen for a very similar role. Even in Rhythm Heaven Fever, there's two other characters that look a lot like him that are also co-hosts. That's Miss Ribbon, who's like a basically pink Marshal, like literally that's what she is, with a bow. And then there's Cam, who's like of the same species, but he's blue and he wears like stereotypical nerd gear with the round frame glasses and a bow tie.
He's also skinnier and taller.
And he's skinnier and taller. He's the Mandark of the group. So those three are the hosts of Rhythm Heaven Fever. They're the hosts of the tutorial, and they later appear in Nightwalk and a few other mini games. Mm-hmm. So they're as close to a main character in Rhythm Heaven Fever as you can get, or rather, I mean, there's also Tibby, who's in the story mode quite a bit. Then there's the chorus kids, who really only appear in that one game, Glee Club, but were the most talked about during a certain period of time because there was substantial evidence from the Gamatsu leak, as well as stuff that Push Dustin and Source Gaming later found out about that kind of implied that they were going to be playable. And we still had that sneaky spirit in Smash Run 2. Right. So that's really coming together. That implies that the chorus kids probably were actually being developed or shelved at some point. And if I were going to guess, it's because the Ice Climbers couldn't work as a duo. Chorus kids probably couldn't work as a trio.
Right.
So then, and I think that, and then there's Karate Joe, Rhythm Girl, Wrestler Reporter. So there's a lot of different ones that get lobbed around the Smash community. I think we kind of just landed on Marshall, or at least I did, and championed him over the past couple of years over the other characters who were all on a very equal playing field for the most part, because he's notable enough within the series while also carrying a fairly neutral design. Like, he's very similar to the chorus kids.
Right.
To the point where it's like, oh, if you can't have three, why don't you just give him one and make it Marshall? He's more prominent.
Honestly, and Marshall looks very similar to the characters in the Glee Club minigame as well, so it really just works. I mean, and over the years, I mean, you and I have had our roster discussions so many times. And at first, I mean, my very first time I even learned Rhythm Heaven existed was the whole Gamatsu leak where they mentioned the chorus, because I'm just like, oh, okay, odd, but okay. But I kind of very quickly just switched over to Marshall, because it's just like, the chorus kids just do this one singing thing, and it's three of them running around. If there is an issue with that character, just do Marshall. And then it's like, okay, the other characters people didn't talk about, like you mentioned, are the Wrestler, Karate Joe, the Rhythm Girl. And I see, and you have had both Karate Joe and the Wrestler. You tried to pitch them to me a couple times. One of them with the Wrestler would have been like Wrestler and Reporter, I recall. But Marshall always just made more sense to me because he's neutral. He's a blank slate. Some of these other ones, it's like, okay, so if you went with the Wrestler, you could only really pick certain mini games or certain different things that he can do. But with something with Marshall, you have just like a wider range of options to try and represent the series in one character that you can't necessarily do with the Wrestler or with Karate Joe.
Right.
Rhythm Girl, you could argue that she's a better choice because she's more standardly humanoid than Marshall is. But I think Marshall is more symbolic to the series than she is, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. He's more in line with the general aesthetic at the very least.
Right.
Yeah. So, and fun fact about Marshall is that people see him kind of as a continuation of a more humanoid character from the earlier Rhythm Heaven titles too. His name was Play-Yan. Play-Yan. And he was a more humanoid, just kind of stickman white figure who would be in the Nightwalk minigame, because the Nightwalk has been around since the dawn of time for Rhythm Heaven, before Marshall. And it was just a guy. Just a guy. It looks like he was on a bathroom sign. And now Marshall is the new Play-Yan.
I was not aware of that. I doing research for this, I never played Rhythm Heaven, so I just looked up YouTube playthroughs of each of the games, so I can be like, okay, I need to familiarize myself with all the different minigames so I can just figure out what my options are. And I was actually surprised. First of all, the different characters that were in it, but also I thought they were going to. Most of the minigames I looked at and I was like, I don't know how the fuck to make this work. Write this one off the list. I did not have near as many options as I thought I was going to have. And they also reuse a lot of the minigames more often than I thought they did, especially in Mega Mix. It's like, what, a quarter of them are new?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I
true.
wasn't a fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Mega Mix just seems like it broke some of the traditions that previous games had. Like the remixes. There weren't any remixes until like the fifth, what would you call it, world set or something?
Mm-hmm.
It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how are you, not being a rhythmic person, a musical person, how are you feeling about tonight's episode?
Honestly, my moveset is going to be lackluster compared to previous showings from me. I have some base ideas of how some things work, but it's like as far as incorporating a rhythm into them, which is something that we discussed that we wanted to try and do with Marshall, is try and have his moves work on some form of rhythm.
Yeah.
As a guy who cannot discuss music, I just can't. I don't really know what to do with those rhythms or even how I will describe them. So part of mine is going to be probably just like, okay, so here's what I got. What do you have that could make this work better? That said, I'm a big fan of my taunts and victory poses, so I might be fighting for those. And everything that I've got here for Marshall, all of his taunts, all of his victory poses, all of his moves are all pulling from different minigames. Nothing pulls from the same source. And they are all distinctly something. The animation isn't, but it's its own thing that I'll get into. But yeah, I made sure to have everything be different, and to actually I didn't want to invent new bullshit.
Yeah. Well, excellent. And I'll say for the most part, I follow the same idea as you with that general, because there's enough source material to pull from, certainly.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with Marshall being a landslide, as you mentioned earlier. And as far as the musical terms go or whatever, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of like tiptoeing per se in this episode with that in mind. But it's like if you and I fused in the musical aspect, we'd probably form a normal person. So because you are so
well, we might be normal in the music aspect of things, but gaming wise,
it would be even worse.
Superhuman.
I
already like 95% of my life revolves around gaming in some form, and that other 5% is eating, sleeping, and working. So, and bathroom usage. So that's all rolled in there as well. The rest of it is like, no, I am either thinking about playing, making charts for, or playing, or this
recording
shit. Yeah, like this falls under gaming for me. This is gaming.
Yeah. And even when we're not talking about Smash Brothers on an official podcast, we're talking about Smash Brothers in Discord. All that to say,
remember when we were going to write a Smash fanfiction and then that never happened?
Just didn't realize how much effort this alone took.
Yeah, you really didn't.
No. Yeah, if there were two of you instead of you and myself, the fanfiction would probably be done by now.
No. See, if there were two of me, one of me would be dead.
True. Which would almost happen in this duo, but luckily there's about 1,000 miles between us. But yeah, there you go. Shine that blade. The all to say, even though so you run basically as the antithesis to music, but I play music. I write about music. I know all my friends in town are musicians. So if you need any help with that,
give this guy a call. Don't call me, call him.
Exactly. exactly. So
And
we are.
I feel like I'm gonna have to mention this because anytime the topic gets brought up, people are always just like, "Oh my god, why do you hate music?" Or they'll bring up in a conversation later on. I was like, "Oh, that's right, you hate music." It's like
I think you're just
every
ambivalent.
time, every time I have to clarify things, it's like, no, I don't hate music. I just don't listen to it. Like, there's a huge fucking distinction there. People will tell me, it's like, "Oh, I don't know how you can." I could not live without music. It's like, that's great for you, Sharon. I'm not you. Okay,
Yeah,
back the fuck off me. All right.
yeah.
People can listen to what they want. I don't give a shit. Do what you want. I personally get nothing from it. Nothing. I
Yeah.
have literally no emotional reaction to music in the slightest. If it's loud and obnoxious initial, okay, I'll have a reaction. It's like, that's loud and obnoxious. Can you not? But in the general speaking, in the general aspect of things, like, I don't give a fuck. I don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
That's
means nothing to me.
fine.
Which
That's
I know
fine.
makes me fucking weird. If you couldn't figure out I was by now, there's your final clue. I'm fucking weird. Get with it or get over it.
Or get out.
No, they can't get out. We have them trapped in our basement.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Well, yeah. What at the very least, if you hated music, if you hated it, we'd be fighting over there being a soundtrack section on the Smashtopia wiki. But it's there. So,
I mean,
and,
and even
and
then, like, I don't look at video game music like I look at regular music. I don't really necessarily listen to it that much. But, like, when I put stages on the Smashtopia wiki, we did a whole stage episode a while back, I still look up music tracks that I think should come with that stage from games.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm not going out there and I'm listening to whatever from this artist or that band or this genre. I don't give a fuck about that. I don't
Yeah,
care if
John,
you like country or rap or rock or if this artist you have posters of them or whatever. It's like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, how many posters do you have in your room right there of music bands or artists or whatever?
9, 10, 11,
Jesus.
12, 13,
I have no
14,
posters of anything.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19. Although one of them is of myself. So I don't know if that counts.
I don't think I would count it if it's of yourself. Now, if it was you and another person that's musical, then sure. But just you, I don't think I'd count that. Uh-oh. We're going on a journey. Oh, God, here we go. Jesus Christ.
Although that's not a music poster, is it?
No, that's not a music poster. That is an advertisement.
Yeah, for Rocket 2032.
That
I still get calls for that horrible
framed
book.
newspaper article.
Yes, it is.
That's not a poster at all.
Well, it's my poster in my heart of hearts.
You don't have one.
Well, neither do you.
That's not up for debate.
There you go.
Anyways, so yeah, we're talking about Marshal today of Rhythm Heaven. It was rather difficult of me to go through things and figure it out. I have moves that I am mostly satisfied with. I don't have their nitty-gritty details because the nitty-gritty details I figured would be attached to the rhythm. So, that'll be a thing.
Yeah, and likewise, I have notes here that I'm going to be referencing since I'm all the way back here and away from the screen, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But I had written something down here about the rhythm because I know before a few things that I think that we were trying to work out prior and didn't necessarily mostly have to do with rhythm and how it would be executed in the moveset. So the way that you're approaching it, that's good. That clears the way, the pathway, and we can just sort it out off screen if we need to. My idea was to give the background too. At first, I had that idea for a universal rhythm, and that was quickly shut down.
Hard. In two different ways.
Yeah.
Because first you were like, hey, what if all of his moves have the same rhythms? Like, well, that'd be boring and predictable. But it's also like, well, what if the rhythm is the soundtrack of the stage? It's like, oh my god, no. That's worse. Some songs are slower than others, and then there's environmental noises. No. Also, depending on the stage you're playing on, he could have an advantage over other characters, or just have a harder time. No.
Yeah, that's all very true. All very true. So what I have done here, or at least I have an idea for it, there is a tambourine that I will mention from time to time. The tambourine will appear in the top left corner of this character icon.
Mm-hmm.
On the bottom of the screen where damage percentages are. And it offers a visual representation of the rhythm that needs to be followed to execute the best version of the move.
Okay, I like that a lot. That helps people like me who don't know shit.
Exactly, and of course you can hear the tambourine as well, but the visual representation is always there. So it offers a means to be variance between moves, but to also have obvious cues, so that way you're not falling off track, and it's not following the music track either, so we don't have the environmental noises, hand and bow mess. So that was
I assume as well that the tambourine, at least for like the UI visuals of it, it's in that translucent state if he's not using a rhythm-based move, but once he's using like his side special or whatever, it'll light up and then it'll actually like shake whenever it's like, okay, here's your timing, fucking press the button, and then stops and it shakes, stops and shakes. Then it
I hadn't actually thought of the tail. That's good. Let's say that it does.
It makes it a little bit more obvious, I think. That it's like, hey, pay attention to me.
Yeah, I concur. And then you'll also find, we'll cover this in the moveset, that I've also added other visual cues to some of my moves to make it even more obvious. I also want to denote, or at least have a discussion, are we thinking Marshal should be aesthetically presented? Because we have him in a very bold 2D style in Rhythm Heaven, and that's how the Sneaky Spirit appeared in Smash Run as well. So are we thinking maybe have him appear 2D like Game & Watch or like Cuphead probably would if he appeared in Smash? Or are we thinking more 3D?
I mean, I actually think Cuphead would be 3D. Just putting that out there. I mean, we have a me costume of him where he's 3D. And he looks just fine. I think he looks fine. Marshal, I could see an argument either way. I'm trying to picture in my head how he would look 3D. And I'm not getting a perfect image in my mind of it. But I mean, at the same time, a lot of these characters are only ever seen in a 2D fashion. Duck Hunt, for example, has never been seen in 3D before Smash. And I think he looks fine there. I wouldn't be opposed to it if he was just 2D. But I do think that I think 2D should be something that's kept special for only certain characters. And right now it is only for one character, just Mr. Game & Watch. But Paper Mario should also have that if he were to ever get into Smash. Or any other paper, whatever. Please just be Paper Mario, though. Marshal, do we ever see... Answer me this in Rhythm of, do we ever see him, like, turn around and, like, does he flip? Or is he just, like, normal turning around like a person?
I believe it's more or less just normal turning around.
Okay, so it's not like the Paper Mario kind of thing.
Right, it's not the flip.
I would probably lean just have him be a 3D character, but if he's 2D, I mean, that would be fine. Now, if they do like, oh, here's Midna, she's 2D, no, that's fucking dumb. But or they do Ryu Hayabusa based off of his NES look. Don't make that 2D.
Yeah.
But he'd be fine, I guess, being 2D. Orbulon shouldn't be.
Yeah, like I was thinking that too. We already have Wario, and he's not 2D. So.
Yeah. Although his movements in Brawl were certainly a little stunted.
That's true.
Very weird.
It was strange. Okay. Well, yeah, I agree. I was leaning to the others. I think, as you said, there's at least a certain pedigree to be had.
Okay.
So I think if you have to be, then that's one thing. So I think, yeah, 3D's fine. 3D's fine.
All right.
Okay. And is there anything else? Nope. That was all of my notes on that. Now I'm in my moveset area. So
Okay.
anything else you want to mention, or shall we get started on the entrance?
I think we should enter on in.
Okay. What do you got?
So for my entrance, this is the one thing I have that's not directly pulled out of one of the mini games in Rhythm Heaven. It's just Marshall. He's there on the stage. He's dancing to his own beat, just having his whatever tune he's got in his head. He's just jamming out to it, and then he's like, "Oh, we're fighting." Okay. He stops and he's ready to fight.
I like that. Mine was pulled from Rhythm Heaven. So in Nightwalk, he comes in on a bunch of balloons, almost like a Mary Poppins esque thing, except he's not using an umbrella.
Hmm.
That sort of thing. So it's just him flying onto the stage using those balloons, multicolored, green, yellow, blue, red.
Is he like holding onto these balloons and he's just drifting downwards?
Right,
Okay.
from a diagonal. So he's drifting downwards from the balloons, and then once he touches the ground, he lets the balloons fly off, and he's ready for battle. That's it.
I'm
That's it.
fine with that. That makes sense to me.
Makes sense to me too. At the same time, although yours isn't from source, it also arguably has more character.
I mean, arguably, yes. But considering, I think Nightwalk is what it was called, right?
Right.
And that's like his one minigame that he's actually in. I think it makes sense to have that be somewhere his character, because I don't have that anywhere. But I mean, I guess I could kind of come up with an idea for it in victory poses if I'm thinking of the right minigame. But no, I'm fine with this being his interest animation. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, and then I do have Nightwalk reference in one other spot, and I guess depending on how we react to that, we may revisit your entrance.
Okay, sure.
So, okay, I guess we'll just put down mine for now.
All right. Then we've got the Kirby hat up next, and for mine, I have it as kind of minimal. Like, there's not a whole lot of changes here. Kind of similar to the Olimar one, which honestly has always looked very weird to me. But I didn't really have anything else I liked for this other than just, like, putting a literal hat on Kirby that looks like Marshall. But what I have is that Kirby's actual mouth shape will change to Marshall's mouth with the little teeth as well. So he's got the mouth shape, he's got the teeth, and he also got those little rosy cheeks, and that's what I got. It was either that or just literally putting Marshall's head on top of Kirby's head, which was not a visual I wanted to see.
What's funny is that I was going to troll you. I had a whole bit written down in my notes, and I was going to say that when Kirby swallows Marshall, he just gets Marshall's head.
So you're meaning are you meaning Marshall's head on top of it, or Kirby's body turns into Marshall's head entirely?
Kirby's body turns into Marshall's head, which is
It's
wrong.
a little bit further than where I went, but
Yeah. Funnily enough, it's close enough to yours, and yours is a legitimate raise that I thought was entertaining. And then otherwise, yeah, the hat is always a possibility. And if we did, it would probably be like his eyes, his nose, and then like his two teeth. But I like yours a whole lot more. That's very entertaining.
all right then. Okay, in that case, we are ready to go to the taunts at this point. So, you want to give your first taunt?
Yeah, so for the up taunt, or not necessarily just for an up taunt, let's have it written down. For my first taunt, Marshall has a pillow grip in his hands, and he gleefully tosses it, as well as himself, upwards into the air, before successfully returning to the ground as a victory jingle plays, like just
wait. This is a taunt or a victory pose?
Oh, it's written as a taunt. Could be a victory.
Why is he throwing a pillow and then jumping towards it with a victory tingle and a taunt where they normally stay in one place?
Yeah, maybe he does. Okay, maybe he doesn't need the victory jingle. But no, he's gripping the pillow continually. So he's throwing the pillow up, but he's flipping with the pillow. So he's holding onto the pillow continually, and he flips in the air, and then he goes back down, and he's sitting down with the pillow.
Okay, I think there's some misunderstanding on here. Because when I'm hearing you say this, I'm envisioning Marshall holding onto a pillow, throws it, and then he goes diving after it. It's like, that's not a taunt. That's either a victory pose or that's a side special.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a pillow, okay?
Okay.
I'm holding it
sure.
For the audience at home. I'm holding on to this pillow. Visual representation. So I'm holding it. And then I'm not going to do this cross-legged, but he's cross-legged, sitting on the ground with the pillow. And then he jumps, but he's always holding the pillow. And then, like, they flip in midair, and then sits back down into his pose.
Okay, so it's a backflip facing the camera.
Yes.
That could have been a lot easier to explain.
Yeah,
and he's sitting on the pillow to start out with, or does he take the pillow, backflips, and then lands on the pillow?
That's a good idea. Let's go with that.
What the fuck minigame is this from? Because I don't remember a pillow flip.
Pajama Party?
Don't remember that one.
The Girl and the Monkeys?
I don't remember that one. I remember Monkey Watch.
There's Monkey Watch too. This was Pajama Party.
I don't remember this one, but okay.
Hey, it's better than Orbulon and the Mummy Rat.
That's true. That's true. My first taunt. So there's I don't think it's part of like one of the minigames you have to play. I think it's one of the just in the side modes where you're just flipping a coin. Mm-hmm. So Marshall smiles, flips a coin. The coin will have his face on one side, smiling, of course. And the other side is going to have like a pair of musical notes, which is just the tiniest of details that doesn't matter. But as long as you hold down the top button, Marshall will continue to flip the coin until he either gets hurt or you let go of the button. So it's just flipping a coin on end.
Nice. And you are always catching that coin. Very impressive.
Yes, I always catch it. It didn't land in a place where I couldn't catch it at all.
No. Not at all. Very, very mesmerizing. So, okay. That's a good one. For my next taunt, I have Marshall performing 3 line step moves in quick succession. So he's mimicking the walk step game, if you recall that. And he's I do have this locked down as a side taunt because which side of the D-pad is pressed determines which side Marshall performs the dance.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Gotcha, yeah. I remember there's a few different memes that are in that kind of format. I don't recall specifically which one that is, but yeah.
But yeah, okay, and then that's generally it.
Okay. So for my second taunt, I have Marshall pulling out a tambourine, which is why I thought it was funny when you mentioned a tambourine. He's like, uh-oh. But with the tambourine, he'll just tap it a couple times, then he switches to his other hand, he taps it. Oh no, I'm sorry, I just read that wrong. Taps it a couple times on one hand, switches, then just taps it once.
Nice. No, I like the callback, and it's also because we're having this tambourine incorporated into the vast moveset for the rhythm. That would be a potentially pretty good taunt to have to draw reference towards.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like that. For my next taunt, it's Marshal breaking out the Samurai Drummer's drum kit.
The samurai has a drum kit?
Yes.
Okay.
And he breaks out a bead on it. And as long as this button is held, this taunt button, Marshall will continue to dish out the drum beat. So he's just constantly, and the beat can alternate between 3 separate tempos. So low, mid, and high. Mm-hmm. So he's going slower, he's medium, or a higher tempo. And these can be swapped out by pressing that same taunt button as the taunt is being used.
Okay. Well, wait, how do you press it if you're holding the button down? Wouldn't you have to release and then hold it down again?
Yeah, just a very quick movement.
Okay. So if it's the tempo that you don't want to be, you can just be like, nope, switch off, try again.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it cycle through, or is it random?
It cycles through.
Okay.
Cycles through. So low, medium, high. Yeah.
Okay. For my last taunt, this one might be kind of similar to your second one here, because it's pulled from the Tall Tappers minigame. Nice. He just performs a short tap dancing number, just like they do with pretty much the same moves, because he's auditioning to join them, even though he's not tall enough. He doesn't. He's still gonna try.
Oh, the tap dancing in my moveset is gonna be fun.
Oh. All right.
Nice.
Well,
so before we get into that, I suppose onwards towards victory poses, eh?
We should.
Okay. Okay, I guess I'll do mine first.
Sure.
So, my first victory pose, Miss Ribbon and Cam make an appearance with Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
Tutorial friends. And they perform their trademark pose. I'll break out the visual cues for the first time in this session. The trademark pose.
Okay.
And that's just kind of that.
And they're dancing and then they end on that pose?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So my first 2 victory poses, I'm just going to start with one, of course. But my first 2 I have here, I am super fucking proud of, and I fucking want these to be a thing. So I'm just going to lay that out there. The first one features Marshall sitting next to the reporter. And you know what minigames the reporter is a part of. Normally they're paired with the wrestler. But in this case, she's paired with Marshall. And she will say to him, "Whoa, you go big guy," as she does in the minigame. And Marshall will strike a pose and flex the muscles that you never knew he had, which is the exact same thing the wrestler's supposed to do when she says that quote to him in the minigame. Just like, I'm putting Marshall into these minigames and taking the other character out for maximum hilarity. just imagine Marshall flexing like the wrestler does, and just like, okay, you tried, but okay.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
My original version for that was going to be where I don't know what she says. She says like some kind of gibberish or something, and he just says yes, and he nods his head really quickly. But I like this version of it a lot more.
Oh yeah. It's got the gusto, which is funny because my second victory pose is paparazzi. So like in the same minigame, there's a paparazzi or people surrounding them, and there's that black silhouette. So paparazzi surround Marshall while he holds out a microphone towards one of his embarrassed and defeated opponents, as if he wants to interview them about their defeat. This is a callback to the wrestler and reporter.
See, it's something funny I'm noticing here with you is that you do a lot of victory poses with characters that involve one of the losing characters in the victory pose.
Yeah.
Several times you've involved them in some way. It's a running theme with you. And the funny thing is, I don't think any of them have made it through. If any of them did, I think the only one that did was Waluigi. Initially, you had them like on the golf tee, like the character themselves, and he's hitting the club, and then that turned into a golf ball that had their emblem on it or their face was printed on it. It's like I don't think we could hit Bowser with a golf club to the moon. Bowser golf ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, no character has. There's nothing like that in Victory Poses. Period in Smash.
The Piranha Plant and Mario, I would say, but
I don't remember these.
Yeah, there's a victory pose of Piranha Plants where he is biting at Mario and sends him flying off screen.
But is that because Mario was in the fight, or just because it's Mario?
Because it's Mario.
Okay, well, it's a little different.
A little different. But yeah, onwards towards your next one.
Okay, so my final one here. Oh no, not my final one. My second one. God, I got ahead of myself there. My second one is, you'll see Marshal. You'll see a chorus man. You'll see a chorus man. And Marshal is in this place of the third chorus man here, like the one that the player would be controlling in the Glee Club minigame. Because the first chorus man will begin to belt out Sma, second one goes ah, and then Marshal ends with Ash. Smash.
Coincidental Earthbound reference too. I like it. Very nice. That's great. Okay, my final one. Are you familiar with the Hue Birds of Happiness?
The what?
Do I have a visual aid here?
Are you what did you what did you even say?
The Hue Birds of Happiness.
No.
Rhythm Heaven Fever. They're little circular walking birds. And they look kind of like Pyoro from WarioWare, but not. They're bigger. They're like.
Are you talking about the flock step birds?
Yeah.
Use the minigame names. I don't know what the fucking things are called. Use the minigame names. You idiot! Oh my god. Of course I'm not gonna know what, like, the Hubert happiness, whatever the fuck. If you say flock step, I'm like, oh, I know what you're talking about. Or say board meeting. I know what that one is.
So, yeah, the Hubert of Happiness.
Flock step bird.
Yes. It appears and it performs that aggressive lockstep strut in the direction of Marshal. And Marshal gets shocked because he has his back turned against the Hubert. And in his surprise, he falls in his bottom.
Okay.
And then they share a laugh. But I don't know if that's needed.
What's funny is I had Flockstep on my short list of minigames that I could make a move from, and I was thinking of having it be the up special at one point, where it just jumps up and it carries Marshal with him.
Yeah, that would work.
Well, it would have worked, but it's not on my list, so.
No, it's not on mine either.
All right, then it will not work. My final victory pose, and I like it, but it's not. I don't like it as much as my previous two. So it's the board meeting minigame, with the pigs and the wheelie chairs. This one we'll see Marshal come spinning. It doesn't work kind of like he just takes their place with the last two did. But Marshal off-screen will come spinning onto the screen rather, in one of those chairs. And he's just like somebody spun him and then they pushed him out, and then he gets to the center. He just kind of like stops, and he's just looking very disoriented. The wall is spinning, there's colors, and he might be about to puke, but luckily he doesn't, because that'd be gross.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he's spinning.
Good times in Marshall High. Okay. Well, we made it through the Tucson victory poses. What well, we didn't select him yet, which tends
No,
to be the
not yet.
longest part of the process.
Something I want to say before we select him is, uh, I think we should open ourselves up to the possibility that depending on what moves we select, we might revisit the taunts and victory puzzles again, just like how you mentioned we might revisit the entrance. In potentially move them up. 'Cause, like if we go with the one with board meeting, let's say, if we go with that victory pose, but then later on there's a move related to board meeting, and we decide we want to use that, then maybe we should remove the victory pose version and replace it with something else.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. That
Okay.
works. So straight away, I do think we should fast track your 2 victory poses that you were most proud of. Both very creative, strokes of genius, per se.
I do agree, naturally.
Call you the American soccer.
I mean, I don't know if that's true.
Well, you and I do. Yeah, so I think that both of those can move forward, being the chorus kids appearing, and for the Smash choral line, and why am I blanking? The first one you said.
Reporter and wrestler. Well, reporter and Marshal, rather.
Reporter and Marshal. And to that end, we don't need both, so we're mixing once again one of my ones where a defeated opponent appears. Just nix that because your idea is better. So there's that. There's that to at least trim some of the fat right away.
So what would our third victory pose be then? Because we've also got board meeting, then we got flock step, and I'm blanking on what your other one was.
It was Miss Ribbon and Cam with the dance.
That's right. I think I like that one the best of the 3, actually.
I concur. The lockstep one is funny. The board meeting one is funny. Miss Ribbon and Cam appearing. That's a nice callback to Marshal's promise. Yeah,
I agree.
So okay, yeah, I can go with that.
Okay, cool.
Sweet. So now we have taunts.
Taunts.
We can also potentially consider a version of board meeting as a taunt, or the lockstep as a taunt if we want to toss those in.
See, I initially was trying to conceptualize board meeting as a down special or an up special, even. But then I didn't like either of those. And it just wasn't flowing quite right for me. So I was like, oh, what if it's a taunt? It's like, And I just slotted it in as a victory pose.
Yeah. Well, he can maybe as a taunt, he can potentially just be sitting on the chair straight away, and like have it be summoned and it just spins on it. And just kind of happy about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, nix that idea that I was about to say because I was going to say, and then Marshall can actually just throw up.
No.
But yeah, he can spin around the chair as a potential. And then how about instead of just Marshall's lockstep, he can perform it with the bird as a taunt. So there's a way to adapt that. And then what? We have the drum kit on my end, the pillow on my end, which if it's hard to communicate, I'm not actually that excited about it anymore.
No. Now I understand what you were going for with the pillow. It's fine. I just thought you were saying like he throws a pillow and he goes after. It's like how?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then what were yours again?
Mine were him constantly flipping a coin, tapping the tambourine, and then the short tap dancing number.
Nice. So we have some common threads here. The tambourine and the drum kit. Although we can have both, I'm just putting them into categories.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a percussive thing, and then there's a dancing thing too. There's the tap dance, and then there's the lockstep dance with the bird potential.
You had a different dance, I thought.
Yeah, I turned it into a line step, just the one where he's throwing his arms up in the air.
Mm.
But then I kind of rearranged it and executed it into the walk step.
Flock step birds are tiny, right?
Yes.
So you could have Marshall doing a tap dancing number with a little bitty tiny little flock step bird just like next to him. It's like the size of a little bit bigger than his foot, maybe. I don't know. It also kind of depends like how big the scale of Marshall is. I was kind of imagining him be relatively like Mario's height, kind of a thing,
Yeah.
in my mind. So flock step bird, maybe it's a little bit taller than his shoe. It's just like mimicking his tap dancing routine.
Yeah. Yeah, that could work. That could work. Uh, okay, you want to go with that?
Kind of.
Okay, let's do it. Then so then we have the coin flip and the pillow. We have the drum kit and the tambourine. Of those four, I actually am most warm towards the tambourine because it calls back into something that's going to be playing in the moveset.
Okay. I was definitely thinking like we should have at least one of the tambourine or the drum kit, just to have in there. Like let him play with a musical instrument. And I don't remember what the mini game the tambourine is from, but there was some where it's just like somebody sitting in the tambourine. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, so I mean, but don't mind me because I will fight for the drum kit for the last arm.
Oh, you were thinking of having both in there.
Yeah, I don't see why not. They're both percussive instruments, but they're also both quite different in how they play. So you can go either way. Unless I still think the pillow is the weaker link of the majority.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. And then there's also your coin flip, which is another callback to a mechanic of Rhythm Heaven as well. So I'm open to discussion. What do you think?
I think it would be weird if we had two that were endless taunts and not just one or all three. Like I feel like if you're gonna do two of them, because you were kind of if you were thinking about doing drum and coin flip, if you were going to do two, I feel like either they should all three be or just one of them be endless.
Right. Let's see here.
And most of these can be turned into endless. Tap dancing could become endless. Tambourine could become endless. The pillow is really the only one that can't become endless.
Yeah. So let's see. I still like the tap dance. Let's keep that. So we're still operating with these last ones here. Are there? And it sounds like pillows on the way out. Just for that formality at the very least. What are you thinking of the last few though yourself? Is there any that you feel more than the others should be in?
Oh, not particularly, really. The only thing I feel strongly about is the endless bit of it. Either just one, all three, or none of them being endless. Having two out of three is just weird.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Well, let's say that the tap dance is endless or can be, and that lends its way to the drum kit, the coin, or the tambourine. Um,
I would probably say do the coin, if only because that way
yeah,
we have three different kinds of things he's doing.
I
Because
agree.
tambourine and drum, they're both very similar there.
Yeah, I concur. Uh, Tambourine again. There's a tambourine that's very prominent in the moveset because of the rhythm aspect, and so do we go for the tambourine because it's more prominent to Marshall because of the moveset, or do we go with the drum kit because it's not? So it's an either or kind of thing. I will say drums are more likely to appear for another character if we bring that up down the road. I mean, a tambourine can too, but not for as many. Like a tambourine would be like what if we did like Samba de Amigo?
I thought he was just maracas.
I think he has a tambourine as well. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Never played it. Shocker. Didn't play the music kit.
Uh-huh. So shoot. I like the drum kit because of the various levels you can play it at.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very entertaining. And again, I like the tambourine because it ties into the special moves. Shit. Difficult. If you don't have a preference, you want to flip a coin.
The only thing I have to say about it is if the drum it can be on 3 different levels, could the tap dancing, could the coin, could the tambourine?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So then do we want to have tambourine be levels? Or do we want to have drums be levels and then have the other things do we also want to consider the other things having multiple levels? The only one that's kind of weird having multiple levels of is the coin flipping. Like I guess you could do like a shorter coin flip that goes faster, and like a one that goes higher up in the air, and one goes even higher, and it's just slower that it comes back down to him. I don't know. That one feels possibly a little bit more off.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, for the sake of functionality, it would be. How about? Okay, okay. In that case, shoot, tap dance, locked. Then let's say coin locked. Tambour. You know what? I'm leaning towards the tambourine.
Really?
Even still. Yeah, I mean the drum kit is mine, and I am partial towards it. But just for the sake of being tied to the aesthetic we already have with the tambourine and the icon and the moveset, I like how it comes full circle.
Okay.
And it makes things less complicated too, because then we don't have to figure out a third hierarchy for the coin or anything.
So is the tambourine going to have 3 levels then, or is it just going to be the normal?
Right. It could go either or. It could go either or.
Okay. Maybe that's something that we figured out whenever it gets translated
Right.
into Smashtopia Wiki.
Yeah, and that is something that I plan to do very soon after we record this episode.
Oh yeah, because this one's on you. You're writing down Marshal this one. I've done all the other characters. You got this one.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah. I figured as much, which is why I don't want to rest on my laurels about it, because we know what happens when I do that. So, and again, we can revisit these even in the episode if we need to, but
yeah. I mean, there's been a couple times when I was writing down some of the other characters that would message you and be like, so I know we said this, but I was thinking about it and I was trying to write down the explanation, and I think we need to make it be this instead. You'd be like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. It's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
So, some things are hard to describe once you actually have to start getting down into the details of it all. Because we'll say things how a move works on here, and we have a general scheme of how it would work. But then when it gets down to actually writing it down and being like, okay, how can I make it clear how this works? It's like, oh, I don't know how to write this one. Oh,
It's like, holy cow.
This isn't making sense, and I have to actually write it down. Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. So that's true. And now I guess we get into the meat and potatoes of everything with the moveset, the special moves.
Oh yes, and these are where my amount of detail is going to be a little bit of a dip from the usual, but I have concepts that we can discuss out here.
Good. And again, if anything is because of a musical technicality, there's a chance I can offer some sort of wisdom there to the viewer and you and whatever.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I thought I'd start off.
Okay.
Because it's like, I'll start off with my base idea, then you can correct me or make it better, and then you can go into your better idea.
Or maybe your ideas will be better than mine.
I mean, maybe.
They were better than mine for the victory poses and dons.
I mean, it's because I know how to make a good theme. Now, following a rhythm, I do what? I don't know. Oh, I can't move. But let's get into it. So my and I have all of these moves named off of what the actual mini game is. Except I think the Final Smash might be a little bit different. I don't remember. It's been a while since I looked at things. But for my standard special, I'm going with Philbots.
Nice.
So the Philbots minigame, I was actually considering two different. There's two different robot building mini games. Or there might be three. I don't remember for sure. Like one of them, like you're screwing the head on top, and the other one is like you're filling it with, I don't know, juice, some form of liquid. You're filling it.
Let's not go down that path.
You're filling down. You're filling up a clear robot with juice or of some sort, some kind of like powering liquid, and you're trying to get it up to fill up to the top so it be powered and can move. And if you do not enough, it doesn't work out. If you do too much, well, that's a bit of a problem. But what I was thinking for this move is, Marshal's got the rhythm going, and to try and like help him fill up the robot. If he ends it too early, the robot it'll walk a little bit forward. This is a small robot, probably only about half of his height. Walk a little bit forward, so you can just like bump into somebody, do a small amount of damage. Fill it up to the correct amount, then they'll go running forwards and just like kind of wave their arms up to hit somebody that's in their way. And then if you overfill it, then it's going to backfire, have a small explosion, and damage Marshall. But if somebody else is right there, they'll be damaged as well. What the exact rhythm is, again, I don't have that. But that's my basic concept for Philbots.
Nice. So it does follow a rhythm. It's not just a chargeable attack. If I'm following correctly. Okay.
I mean, technically, it's a chargeable attack, technically speaking. But if you don't finish it at the right point, then it's not going to be the attack you want.
Okay, got it. So it'd be a smack of the tambourine and it's done. That's doable. That's doable. And it's again, it's some things that I think for the majority, we'll probably workshop that out of the podcast just for the sake of removing technicality and just and streamlining it, the discussion.
Yeah.
But no, I get the general idea and I like it, and good callback. So, and I like the idea of Marshall having that idea of kind of being like a tinker toy maker with that standard special. So it works. My specials are all also named after the minigames. So my less creatively so, but it's a standard of Rhythm Heaven, and it's also the standard special. It's, Glee Club.
See, I had Glee Club in my shortlist, but decided, you know what? Let's not use Glee Club. Let's make it a Victory Plus, because that's more awesome.
Yeah.
And because the attack, the only thing I could think of for the attack was just like, he does the yell, you tap it again, does a large yell, tap it again, he does an even larger yell. I was like, I wasn't pleased with my own ideas for it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the gist of what I have here, just a little more. So for an added visual cue, a small painted heart appears that pulses above Marshall's head. So similar to Glee Club and the selection of the chorus kit. So it's a visual cue to serve along the tambourine beat. So having learned a thing or two from the chorus kids and the composer, Marshall joins Glee Club for his standard special. A simple press of the standard special button will see Marshall produce a small screen. And then whereas following are two more well-timed beats, we'll have Marshall respectively shout louder and then even more so. So his range visibly extends as he shouts longer and louder. So as you said in your victory pose, and besides pushing opponents back and potentially dazing them at its highest capacity, so on the third screen, it has the ability to reflect projectile.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's a little ace up his Glee Club sleeve.
Okay.
Yeah. All that to say, how about your side?
So for my side special, it's Karate Man. Of course it is. Another one of the popular character choices that people discuss from Rhythm Heaven. Karate Man, the minigame, it differs a little bit depending on which game you're playing. But typically, one punch, he punches a bucket or something out of the way. You can do a 1-2 punch to punch out two things that are coming out of the way. And then he has an uppercut, but then also in Fever, he has a flurry of punches that he can do. So what I kind of had envisioned for this is something similar to a Marth Dancing Blade, but slower, Where Marshall starts, he'll do the one punch, and then follow it up, second punch. If you keep the rhythm of beat of it, just throws in an uppercut, and then follow the beat one last time. He does a flurry of punches at the end of it. And I also figure if you just do the punch or the 1-2 punch of it, you can punch projectiles out of the way.
Are you kidding?
It's about Karate Man punching buckets and shit and knocking away from him.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And there's no side special that does that.
No, there's not.
Now, like the uppercut or the flurry of punches wouldn't get rid of a projectile. Just the one punch or the second punch would.
Right, so you give some power to the front couple that normally wouldn't have much precedent. So it's nice. So my son.
So and it's not a reflect either. It's just like if it's like Pitt's arrow punches it and then the arrow tumbles away, it's gone.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. My size special is Karate.
I had a feeling. It makes the most sense.
Yeah. And for that I have written down Marshall gets into Karate Joe's signature stance, and then the additional visual cue here is that the like golden or yellow aura that is surrounding Karate Joe in that mini game. It's like a smaller version of that, more opaque, that begins to pulse around Marshall. And so he's in that visual. So it's an additional visual cue that mimics the Karate Man mini game. Like the orange banded, like Looney Tunes classic logo when you're coming in or out of a Looney Tune, I guess. So it goes slow enough at first to where it cues Marshall an easy opportunity to stack up those initial jabs, the 1 and the 2 punch that you're saying. And let's say they can reflect projectiles. Just I didn't have that written down, but let's just toss that in there. At first, so yeah, it's not much to write home about beyond that potential. But then you get it's actually a 5-pronged punch combo. So the 3rd, 4th, and 5th are especially zesty. The 5th being the finisher, Marshall has a few options on how to execute it. So I had it written here that if they're tilting the control stick downward, Marshall will unleash a flurry of punches. If they have it upwards, he will perform a dashing uppercut that could make Ryu or Ken blush, is what I wrote. And if the player does nothing or tilts it sideways, then he'll just perform a finishing blow that's kind of a one punch man scenario.
A bit of a lunging punch.
Yeah, a bit of a lunging punch that carries him forward just a couple inches and leaves a trail of dust in his wake. And depending on the way that you tilt it, kind of like the Warlock punch from Ganondorf, you're able to move it one way or the other.
Okay.
So and it's a shield breaker. So that's what I had down there. So there's some different beats of execution, but otherwise it's the same move.
The first 2 hits are the same. The difference is like after that point, I go straight into uppercut and then flurry, and you go uppercut, flurry, or lunge. What do you want?
Right. Huh. And I guess we'll get to that nitty-gritty when we get to it.
Oh, yeah.
So, your up special.
So, my up special. This one could use a little bit of workshopping, probably. It's Launch Party. Where, you're building rockets, essentially, launching them up. Or not necessarily you're building rockets, but you're launching rockets into space. And different rockets have different numbers on them with a different beat. And you get to launch it when it hits the 0, and they don't all hit that point at the same time. The idea I had for this one was taking it in either one or two directions. One, each time you use the move, it's a different rocket, and it kind of just cycles through, with each rocket having a different beat to it. And they'll carry you up to different heights, and they might have a different... if you get the beat perfect, they'll have an additional little effect. One of them, let's say the blue-looking rocket, it has a small, a freeze attack radius on it if you get the perfect hit, and that the freeze radius appears when you hit the height of the move, or if you impact with a character or obstacle, then it'll trigger there. Either that, or it's just rocket, and then you hold down the button for the hold down the up special, and then you end it at whatever number you want. And depending on the number, it turns into a more specific rocket, which has its own effect whenever it reaches the top.
Nice. Nice. I like the callback. I had not anticipated that being one to call through because I know a lot of people like around Smash boards or whatever, they go for like Seesaw or something, which is an easy go-to.
I considered Seesaw.
Yeah,
but I was trying to imagine how it would actually work visually, and I didn't like it. Yeah. I also had considered Launch Party as a down special where, he just sets a rocket, and then after a few he holds down his thing, and then once he lets go of it, then after, again, that exact same amount of beats, it goes flying up in the air as a trap. But,
yeah.
I didn't like it. It was the thing I liked the most for the up special, so I just slotted it in the up special slot.
Mm-hmm. And I could see it working as well, like cycling through the rockets. I don't think that would necessarily be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It just offers an extra technicality to the move, so you have to act smart when you're using it as a move coverage per se.
Yep.
Mine is called. So my up special is based off Tallest Tap Dancer.
Okay.
Actually called Heaven's Chord. And it's the only move in my entire moveset that is not taken directly from the games.
Okay.
So, just for reference, I had printed out some visual cues if I needed them, like that one for chorus kids stuff, and there's Karate Joe, that sort of thing, right? Maybe. Yes.
I like that one.
There's the one that I drew for Heaven's Chord.
Oh. So he very quickly ascends a spiral staircase, essentially.
Essentially. So, Marshal becomes meditative, lifting his arms up in a way that signifies his peace of mind. And he begins to tap dance in such a way that is ethereal. Sparkles surrounding him as heavenworld's light shines from above. And this is like a split-second animation. And as he moves upward, a spiral staircase of piano keys appears, and he traverses them. And they play up an actual key scale. So, the key of the key progression of a piano. So, do, re, mi, fa, sol,
right.
And it goes from the lowest key of the piano to the highest. So the move takes them up, like, say, a respectable couple of Kirby's high to begin with. And then that's almost instantaneous. But it requires the player to follow rhythmic cues to carry him higher than that. So he's like, and then you have to press the special move button repeatedly. So that's where I've been trying to kind of workshop it too, is I'm not sure if I should keep it low tempo and easy, just because it's a move that doesn't really damage opponents. Or should I make it that it's you eventually have to start mashing the B button and have the staircase follow a faster rhythm to make it a faster move. But other than that, I have it so that you fall off the rhythm train, Marshal will free fall. So the move, I also have it carrying in a slight arc left or right, so it isn't just stationed narrowly upwards and can be a little more helpful. And especially if it's slower, I have super armor appearing with each press of the rhythm button, just to help it so he wouldn't just be knocked out during the usage. There's also a chance that Heavenworld's Light will pulse with a successful rhythmic chain. So if you go by that you've done successfully, and it will lightly heal Marshal. The higher he goes up the spiral staircase, the better the chances of getting this effect are. And I also have he can ultimately raise himself about as high as Pit's up special.
I have questions.
Yeah.
A few questions. First of all, why is there a healing mechanic?
Wait, what?
You said there was a healing mechanic?
Yes.
Why?
Oh, because he's ascending to heaven.
Okay. Second question. You said that it can go up to the height of Pit's up special, but also one staircase takes him up 3 Kirby's.
2 Kirby's.
2 Kirby's. Okay. And how many staircases? Because I feel like you're gonna. I feel like you're gonna hit Pit's up special on either 2 or 2.5 staircases.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe
Also, with the rhythm of it, like you said that you just hit the button and he goes up a whole staircase, and you hit the button again, a second staircase, and then you can just presumably climb staircases until you reach whatever the maximum is supposed to be, which might be 2.5, 3.
Let's workshop. Let's work this kink out. Maybe we'll forget Pit. Let's say 4. Maybe.
Did you just say 4?
Yeah.
I would say something that I'm trying to visualize this here. A staircase is 2 Kirby's. Maximum of 4 staircases. I would say each successive staircase needs a harder reaction for it of some sort. I don't know how, or maybe you have to do like a button press in the middle of the staircase and not just at the top of it.
Right. Yeah.
That's
that's good actually. Yeah. That's a way to change the rhythm up. And there could be more drastic chords being pressed. So instead of, I'm trying to translate this for non-musical. So they just play a solo piano key instead of playing a solo. Maybe they play a couple of keys at once when you have to press the button.
And you could visually have it be like he's not necessarily running up the staircase; he's jumping up the steps. And so, like when you see him land on a jump, that's a button press.
Yeah. Yeah, and Marshal is known to jump because of Nightwalk.
Mm-hmm.
So even in that similar style, and I actually had him in my mind anyway. I have him jumping in a way similar to his jumps in Nightwalk as well.
Okay.
So that could, yeah, that works, and again is a nice callback to where we see him as a somewhat playable character in mini games where he's moving like that. No, that works well. Okay, so he's moving up a staircase, and then for each additional set of stairs that is uncovered, it gets a little harder. So whereas the first couple, you're pressing the button at the top of the staircase, then it comes around the middle, then the lower end. So the access key to summon another becomes more difficult and a little quicker each time.
Right. I wouldn't say that Marshal himself moves faster. It's just there's more points in his journey where you have to click.
Right. Okay. That's good. That could work.
Okay.
For the sake of brevity, I guess, moving on to the downs.
Right. Just a quick moment. My down special is Samurai Slice. So he pulls out the samurais, their long katana. He's got it there. He's ready to swing it. There's 2 different ways that you can use this move that I've figured out here. One of it is just a simple button tap. He swings the sword down, and then you can do like a double tap on the rhythm to have it swing down, and he swings it back up. Initially, I was kind of thinking that this could be one where he fucks with projectiles, but I liked it better on Karate Man for it. But instead, it's more like, oh, hey, there's somebody right in your face. Slice him down, slice him up. You can get 2 hits out of it. Other way to do it is if you hold down the button and wait for a couple seconds, he'll be swinging the blade around like when there's a bunch of monsters being shot out at the samurai at once. In this one, he can reflect projectiles, not just knock them out of the way, but you have to be locked into this move a little bit. If you let go before the rhythm of it triggers, then Marshall is going to essentially be kind of worn out, because that took a lot out of him and he didn't do it quite right. So he's going to be a little bit vulnerable. But if you can end it on the right frame, or the right rhythm rather, then he'll follow it up with I don't really quite know how to explain it, but there'd be like an additional hit right at the very end, kind of like that final hit from Sephiroth's Scintilla move. It wouldn't just be like a small little thing right in front of him. And if there's a fighter that's in the way of him doing the rapid slashes as he's holding the button down, that's not good for them either.
Right. Okay. Nice. So man, Marshall's really getting all of his Japanese fighting forms down in this moveset.
I mean,
yeah,
not every minigame worked. I don't really know it, but I think the one where they're just like a bouncing dough through pipes, like, how the fuck was I gonna make that work? Or the one where you're the double date where you're kicking soccer balls away. How the fuck? No. I did not have a reliable way to make that work and not be dumb. Or catching fruit that's falling downstairs at you, or Munchie Monk. What the fuck? Not everything works.
Yeah, there's ways to put that into the standards. Maybe like I have vivid ideas of Marshall dropping a pineapple in a smash attack or something. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or invoking the pillow, or table tennis or something like that. But yeah, like in a
the air tennis one. I liked watching that one, but I could not figure out a way to make that work.
Exactly. But hey, for my down special, right?
Is it
it's flipper flop.
Yes. I wanted to figure that one out. I was like, I got nothing on this besides just a seal rolls forwards. I was like, that's boring.
Yeah. So here's what I came up with. A fluffy, friendly seal appears on the stage, and Marshall immediately hops on top of it. Marshall is then able to roll around the stage on top of the seal. However, he will move laughably slow unless following the rising tempo set out by the tambourine. So while you're moving, the tambourine beat progressively gets faster as you're moving in one direction on the seal. And so you can move in any direction whilst continually pressing the standard special button to the beat. And that will make the player, as the player continues to press the button on time, Marshall continually picks up the pace whilst rolling on the seal. The seal consents to this. The seal is gleeful. It makes gleeful noises.
So it's a slower Yoshi's Egg.
Slower and then faster. It goes between the ratio. Collision with an opponent will cause the move to flop, with the seal flopping back off into the sea with a leap off screen and Marshall falling on his butt.
Okay.
However, it can dish with quite a bit of damage to them, depending on how many times in a row that Marshall is able to keep the beat. So if you're keeping the beat for a considerable length of time and you're going super fast, you ram into somebody, it dishes a lot of damage up before that recoil. And then a few presses will deal out decent damage, but the rhythm can be stacked upwards of 15 times to heighten the damage and knockbacks to extremes, while keeping in mind there's no super armor attached to it, so it would be kind of rare for that to happen. Beware, however, as Marshall will move a little faster with each successful move to the beat. So Marshall can also flop by relenting from the rhythm while going too fast.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that'll result in him falling off the seal, but it's just without the glory of hurting his opponents.
Okay.
So yeah, it's another Yoshi's Egg, Wario's Bike kind of summoning move. But it's the best that I had for the seals, and I tried to change it up a little bit.
Quick question for clarity. You said that he can travel in any direction. I assume you mean left or right and not any direction.
Left, right, or diagonally upwards.
What?
Left or right, yeah.
Okay. Had to make sure, because for all I knew, you could have meant that. It's like, I don't... Flying through the air, that's a hard no from me. No. That's OP.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay.
So, normally at this point, we go to the final smashes next, and then we do the extra skill last. However, this time, if you're okay with that, I'd like to do extra skills first.
Okay.
Okay, so, my extra skill is Love Lab. So, Love Lab, a guy throws you a potion, which is really dangerous, and you should not do that. And then you have to shake it a few times before you throw it up to the next guy. And if I remember correctly, it's the color of the potion that changes how many times you have to... it's the color of the potion that changes the beat for how long you have to hold it down before you throw it to the next person, if I'm remembering things right here. But how I'm translating this in the Smash is Marshal has... I'm going to call them rhythmic options. I think that's a good way to describe this. Kind of similar to one of the ideas I had for Launch Party, where he can hold the button down until he's shaking the potion. If he lets go on a rhythmic beat, then he'll toss the potion, it'll fall in an arc, and an effect will happen depending on... We'll get there. If he lets it go off beat, then he drops it in front of him and he damages himself, which is not fortunate. But what I mean rhythmic options is you can stop the move at multiple different points that you choose. Each time it reaches one of these options, the color of the potion will change if you don't decide to let it go. So it might start off as a red potion, then a yellow, then a blue. Each potion having its own different effect. So a red one could cause a small little patch of fire, or something that would be damaging on the field. And if you run through it, you're going to get hurt as a nice little hurt effect. Yellow could be... if somebody is in its little range when it explodes, maybe they're stunned, like a Deku Nut. Blue... Normally blue is related to freezing and ice in Smash, but I'd kind of like to be something a little bit different. So it's... Especially if one of the... if Launch Party was also in play, and one of its rockets was a freezing effect, I wouldn't want the same thing to happen here. But, I'm not having an immediate idea for what blue could be. But you can even do something different. I don't remember all the colors of the potions. Like, if green is optional, or maybe this could be the blue one, maybe it creates a very small healing field that lasts for a couple seconds. If you just run through it a little, or if you try and stick in it, you can just be healed a small percent of damage. So Marshal might want to throw the blue one, and he can just run towards it and get a little bit of healing in. But even then, if he drops the blue one in front of him, no healing effect. It's just... You drop the potion on your foot, dude, and you let out its contents before it was ready, you're hurt.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Oh, okay, this is the part where I offer feedback. Sounds good to me. Sounds like that is very creative. I like it, and it's funny how much it is kind of similar to mine. in some functionalities, not to the extent of being a status event. My extra skill is Cheer Reader. Marshal gets his best sign dancers motif on, grabbing a standard sized poster board and performing cheerleading and loose breakdancing style techniques while it's in his hand. So like a sign dancer in front of a mattress firm, if you will. It's all very impressive, and we should give him a tip of the hat for such an excellent sign dancing routine. Oh, before entering the mattress store that he's advertising me with, I wrote that down. At the so that's past me and present me meeting up in the middle. At the apex of the move, the tambourine will sound off, and we will get another visual cue as Marshal quickly shines a vivid sunny gold, cueing the player to hold the sign up. So when you let go of that extra skill button, it'll allow the sign to be let go or held up. The sign will then magically be filled in with with a projection of one of a few potential icons which indicate what the sign is summoned, allowing it to slip from off of the sign and into reality. So, like Paper Mario kind of on the ground just beside Marshall. And these are potential items, including an assist trophy, a Pokeball, a Baba, Mr. Saturn, Beam Sword, Deku Nut, Confetti Ball, Healing Sprout, Maxim Tomato, other food items, and even on rare occasions, a Smash Ball. So a middling charge makes a middling summon more likely, whereas low to no charge increases the chances of summoning nothing or something very light like a Mr. Saturn. But if he summons nothing, he trips over the sign, he had to restart. It's sad. It's like dropping a potion on himself.
Mm-hmm.
As he falls in all fours, he looks down towards the floor in shame. With exception to a full charge, there's always an RNG screwage chance that the move can flop, but the likelihood gradually fades away the longer the charge is held. Marshall's move will also flop if the player misses a rhythmic cue and overcharges. That's that.
So something I want to say on that one is because I've done other things where like either an assist trophy or a move can spawn items around, and that there's some that I tend to avoid because I feel like if they can spawn a Smash Ball, that's a lot, little powerful. Pokeballs, assist trophies I generally try to avoid as well for my own stuff, but like Bob-Bombs, Beam Swords, Deku Nuts, Super Mushroom, Maxim Tomato.
Oh yeah.
I don't have a problem with this. Like, and also like Dragoon pieces and Daybreak pieces. I don't like including them, generally speaking, either. It's like there's certain items that are just like, this is a special tier. You're like the best shit. I don't want someone to get that for free.
Yeah. What if you only summoned Gustfellows?
I would immediately ban him.
And I took that into account too when I was thinking this out. So when I'm saying that he dances and you have the cues and whatever, for something very special, I'm thinking as long as a special flag.
Okay.
Okay. To the point where he can easily be pummeled and have that taken out of effect. Because there's no super armor or anything like that.
Right. That's fair.
Yeah. So that was my thought there. And then also if it's a Smash Ball, it won't just fall to the ground, or at least it probably won't be floating. So that's kind of that. So Final Smash is on.
Final Smash. Now, my idea for this one is very much just like in the conceptual phase, and that's because until we actually lock in the moves, my Final Smash can't be anything more than just a basic concept.
Interesting.
I call it Rhythmic Remix. The rhythm-heavy games that love throwing remixes out there where, after you finish 4 mini games in a set, there's like, oh, hey, look, here's a remix for you. Where you might, like, let's say you have Philbots and Karate Man, and just board meeting and Glee Club. Let's say those were your 4, and so then Rhythm Heaven is like, okay, we're going to start you off doing a couple robots and Philbots. Now we're going to immediately swap you over to Glee Club, and now you're in board meeting, and now you're back to Glee Club, and now you're in Philbots, and then now you're in the 4th one that I forgot what it was. But it just keeps on flopping you through these, and they're also themed differently. Like all the characters in they all look a bit different. But for Smash, what I have in mind in this is it's going to be a cinematic cutscene in Final Smash because that's the only way this will work. But Marshall will kind of create some kind of like symbol that kind of just like appears next to him. It's like, okay, like something I'm not sure what it would look like. But you know how anytime you have a cutscene in Final Smash, there's some trigger that has to happen. Like Captain Falcon will have his blue Falcon come fly into the stage, and it will knock people into the cutscene. Or the Belmont Boys, they have the coffin that will appear. It's something on that nature. A character goes into the cutscene where you'll see Marshall, just to use my own moves as an example here, like he might fill in a couple Philbots that come running towards the player, and then you might see rockets fly at them from Launch Party. You might see a potion falling at them from Love Lab. Maybe another Philbot comes in. Karate Man. You could have Karate Man do like a couple punches, or it would be Marshal's Karate Man rather, doing the sword slashes from Samurai Slice. Actually, I feel like I would want it to end with Karate Man. I don't think, but like he might do a couple punches with it, but then the last hit of it is he goes in, just the Karate Man, either doing with depending on like how it's. You could do it like you could do with the uppercut or the flurry of punches, but that's the final hit. Character gets knocked out of the remix, back on the stage. They just had a lot of shit happen to them and they're hurt.
Yeah.
But depending on what moves we pick, like if we, depending on the moves, like if we put in moves from you, that would change how this final smash looks. So like if we don't use Fillbots, then whatever other move we use will be in the final smash instead of Fillbots, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. That took a step in a different direction than I had presumed. Well, let me take you down the pedestrian route. My final smash is Nightwalk.
Okay.
Where a blue platform juts out from the ground just in front of Marshall, and that's the triggering animation here. So any opponents that are caught within the hitbox of the platform are taken into a scene that replicates the Nightwalk game from Rhythm Heaven. Of course, it's much more quickly presented. Though Nightwalk's a 45-second, 60-second long minigame. That's not happening in Smash. So it's a much faster version of the iconic minigame. They're thrown into the air by the first platform, and then with each successful stomp or roll to the beat that Marshall procures afterwards, they will just be kept flying each time. So it's kind of a cinematic, kind of not in that aspect, where there's still a rhythmic portion that you have to follow. So Marshall is invincible during the Nightwalk, and is capable of damaging opponents in a fairly quick fashion. Because you're just constantly mashing the standard special to the visual rhythmic cues of the Nightwalk, and it's just plays the same music from Nightwalk, and the platforms flash like in Nightwalk, so it's fairly evident, and there's also the tambourine if you really need it.
Question.
Yes.
So you said Marshall is invincible, and he's trying to keep to the beat. Are you actually controlling Marshall during the cinematic, like he's running around punching? Or is it just you just hitting a rhythmic beat, doing?
Right. Yeah. You're hitting into the beat to keep him moving.
Okay, so it's not necessarily like he's invincible because he's not. He can't be.
Right. Yeah.
He's just. Yeah. It's a cinematic, but you're providing a rhythm to it, kind of like the old Donkey Kong Final Smash.
Yeah, except, but better than that.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's. The invincibility, that's kind of a given, so whatever. So by the end of the night, so he's rolling and jumping as he does. If you've seen that minigame, then you kind of know what I'm talking about. So by the end of the Nightwalk, night turns to day, and Marshall returns to his Rhythm Cafe. And then that slamming the door to the cafe is actually the closeout attack. So as he's confidently shutting the door, that could send opponents flying as well at the end of it. So as you're moving through the Nightwalk, though, each successful rhythm step offers more damage to opponents, and they're being juggled. It's like a constant power block.
Mm-hmm.
And then all in all, it lasts like 10 or 15 seconds. And then I threw in there that maybe Miss Remnant and Cam and like Rhythm Dog can make a cameo appearance, or maybe not. And bada bing, bada boom.
Okay. And now we come to the hard part.
That's what.
Yeah. Okay, I think first we look at side special Karate Man.
Yeah.
Something I'm going to say right away is that I think your implementation of Karate Man, having it to where you choose whether you have a lunge, you have the uppercut, or you have the flurry of punches, I think that's a better way to go about it.
I'm glad you think so, because I was going to say a similar thing.
But we keep punching projectiles.
Yes. Absolutely. That was a stroke of that American Sakurai genius, as they say.
Nobody says that.
Yeah, and that gets the easy stuff out of the way. Now the rest of it's difficult.
Yep, exactly. So where are you wanting to look at first here? Because all of our moves, with exceptions to that one, are very different.
They are. They are. Let's go to the standards because I actually have a lean here.
Okay.
And that would be to give you fill blocks because we have Glee Club in a victory pose, very well represented with them saying Smash, or singing Smash rather, and the Glee Club's projectile reflection is already that set it apart from other people's Glee Club standards. Has been taken into Karate Man.
Fair.
So I don't think we need two projectile reflection moves. That's kind of where I stand on that. What do you think?
I'm totally fine with that. I obviously I'm very happy with how I represented Glee Club in the victory pose. Because like I had considered it for a standard special, which is like I didn't like how it was appearing in my head, and it was just like this is what everybody says. Marshall should do. It's like I wanted to do it different.
Yeah, and if it was the course,
it worked.
Yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, okay.
Like there's some characters who's like, okay, this is a very obvious move. So it's like they're gonna have this, they have this, this. That's why we're probably never gonna do an episode about Spyro the Dragon because his moveset is very much all right. You have to have this here, you have to have this here. And it's just how it works with him. So like if he ever appears on anything, he's just gonna go up direct to he's a direct to video character. I love Spyro. Yeah. Like he's not a movie theater character that we would do an episode on. He's just direct to DVD.
Yeah, yeah.
Going on the weekend.
Or even the characters we had on the show before, like Rex, for instance. We had very similar. Yeah.
That's how it is with some characters. It's like sometimes you don't want to do the obvious thing when you have other options. But sometimes the obvious thing is also the best thing. So I just didn't think I needed to use Glee Club here.
Exactly. So, this was a useful way to subvert expectations.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, the Chorusmen, they could be a good assist trophy, honestly.
They could.
Of course, so could the Samurai or Karate Man.
Yeah, also true. Karate Joe or Karate Joe Sr.?
So, remind me what your down special was.
Flip or flop with the seal.
Flip or flop, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm good with that being the down special over Samurai Slash.
As am I, and only because Samurai Slash, that could be something for Takamaru or Lin or
or any samurai
or Jin Sakai. Yeah, just it's a very typical samurai move. It's good to pull from Rhythm Heaven for it. It would be a good move for Marshall. But less characters can run around on a scene.
And plus, Flip or Flop was just a really fun one to watch.
Yeah,
like I liked seeing that. That was a minigame I actually liked watching. That was fun.
Yeah, it was. Okay, and I'm of course okay with that. Which brings us to the up special.
Right, the up special where we have actually before we look at up special. Why don't we look at an extra skill real quick here? We had my love lab with the potion throwing, and I also want to throw in an idea I had afterwards. What if one of the potions, instead of like being a healing thing or the stun, what if it actually did the sleep status?
Yeah,
that's an option. Well, there's plenty of different options of like what different potions can do. I just, for multiple reasons, I did not write down every nitty-gritty of these attacks for Marshall. But there's plenty of options. But what was your extra skill as well?
It was, just pulled out, I forgot the name of it. It was cheerleader with the basically sign dancing, cheerleading, summoning, and
That's right.
Right. So funny how functionally they summon something. There's something going on like that.
Just one can bring out items, one deal some kind of effect onto a point on the stage.
Right. When it comes down to it, I think something that I want to do in the future is keep a tally, even myself looking back at past episodes, seeing where we have moves like this, and then bringing it up and saying, oh, well, we're considering item chances or status effect changes. well, we already did X amount of characters who did item summoning, so let's go
That's
for the
fair.
stats for that.
I mean, I've
Uh,
definitely run into that at times when wow, words. Whenever I'm making characters, like I'll come up with some deals like, oh hey, no character in Smash Delos. Then now at some point I'll look back, it's like, oh, I did like 4 or 5 characters on the wiki that do this. Ooh,
yeah.
fuck. It's happened a time or two. It's
Yeah.
happened.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's difficult to say because they're so similar to each other functionally, even though they ultimately bring about different things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know. Do you have a lean?
Yes, I do.
And it's mine, and here's why.
Well, actually, let me get into a little bit of a thing. Uh, Launch Party and Love Lab have similar mechanics to how you can use them with the whole like here's some different options that you have with the rhythms, and I don't know if we necessarily want to do both of them, or you might not want to do either of them. I don't know, but I'm definitely thinking like I don't think we necessarily do both of them, and if we were to do one of them, I would rather do Love Lab, because I think it's a cooler move than what Launch Party is. Even though I do like the idea of him like being carried up into the sky by a rocket. Um, I think Love Lab is a little bit cooler of a move, but then also your staircase one I think could be interesting in the way that it's like, hey, you can keep on going to higher heights, but it's going to get rough, and you might just risk going into freefall if you don't stop.
Yeah, true, true.
It's a bit of a gamble.
It's the only move that doesn't come from the games specifically. So I was
Right. I mean,
wondering
it's connected to the tap dancing one you said, but it's not like
right,
an actual mini game.
right, right. Okay. I was actually, yeah, so I was ultimately going to lean towards Love Lab as well, even if only for the aesthetic difference, being a cooler, quicker animation with the potion compared to a very long sign dance, which would be, given Marshal's stature, strange to look at.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's
I'm
it.
cool with
That's
that.
another thing that is a potential assist trophy is the cheerleaders with the signs, and they can like they'll just be there, it'll spin, and then it'll stop and be like, "Here's an item."
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
That
That's good.
you could pull several different assist trophy possibilities from Random Heaven.
Yeah, the Huberts of happiness.
Flock step birds. They're
Yep.
called flock step birds.
Yeah. So okay. So Love Lab it is.
All right, so
Uh,
that
yeah.
means we have Philbots, we have Karate Man, we have the staircase, we have I forgot the
Flipper
non
flop.
special Flipper Flop. Thank you, and we have Love Lab. Which brings us into the final smashes of either I forgot which is called again, the walking one. One night, night walk.
Yeah.
Or rhythmic remix.
Yeah.
Which at this point I would say if rhythmic remix happened, um maybe the staircase is like the final hit. You know, like he ascends the staircase and like punches them as he gets up to the top as an uppercut kind of thing, mixing in a little bit of Karate Man in it with the uppercut part. But like you would start with like having the Philbots go in, a seal could run into the enemy, the Karate Man punches, of course, potions being thrown, and then just ends on like Marshall running up a staircase, and there's the opponent, and he just goes punches them up out of the sky.
That would be a joy to stare at.
It would be very fun, and like in similar to Rhythm Heaven, it's not just gonna be like okay, potions here, okay, seal here, okay, Philbots here. No, it's gonna like alternate around in quick succession before the final hit comes in on the staircase.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. And then I chose Nightwalk because it's such a part of Rhythm Heaven and Marshall and has been around since the beginning of the series. But I mean, if we don't go that route, the rhythmic remix gives us something that's a very big portion, especially in more recent titles, that isn't as obvious. And it would be, as you said, with the Philbot versus the chorus got Glee Club. That is a prominent argument, is that it references a strong part of the game without being obvious. To Nightwalk's credit, not many other characters would be able to have a Final Smash like that in Florida. For many reasons, aesthetically or just because there's no reason that Skull Kid should be doing Nightwalk. Or just about anybody. It's a toss-up. It's a real toss-up for me. I think I would actually say Rhythmic Remix, and what gives it the edge for me, besides it being fucking hilarious, is just that it's faster.
Something I'd like to ask. Nightwalk. I don't remember what that minigame is. I don't think it was one that I really watched much of, because it wasn't a main minigame. It was one of the side notes as well. And I just, if I'm thinking of the right one, it was just like he's walking on a tightrope, right? It's like just endlessly walking on a tightrope, or am I thinking of something else?
I believe you're thinking of something else, because Nightwalk is it's more that there's several raised platforms that kind of signify more ground, and they're at different heights, and you're pressing the B button to make Marshall move from platform to platform to the beat of the music.
Okay, so he's just it's.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
I think I know what that is now.
Yeah. So he's taking a night walk on his way home.
It's more of a jumping excursion, but all right.
I know.
So something I was thinking of back when we were talking about the victory poses is you could have a victory pose that is Nightwalk. Like you see Marshall jump in from off screen, like it just looks exactly like Nightwalk in the victory screen. Kind of like how some of the more recent characters like Sephiroth have had a whole effect to their victory screen. But and you see him jumping from place to place, and he just kind of like stops in the middle. Kind of, I don't know if he would like wave at the camera or if he would do something. But it obviously he wouldn't like go completely off the screen, because he'd have to stop somewhere on the victory pose. That was one idea I was considering bringing up, that you could still represent Nightwalk with.
We can work Miss Ribbon and Cam into that too, because they appear in Nightwalk in the game. They could be running with Marshall, and then
like Marshall and then Miss Ribbon and then Cam, like they're all like one behind him.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's a good way to go. Maybe replace their other pose with that.
Yeah, I like that. Like instead of them dancing, it's all three of them on Nightwalk.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's move nice victory pose, rhythmic remix to the Final Smash, and there's the moveset.
This has been a way easier episode than I thought it was going to be. There's been easy times. We're getting close to the end, though. There's not much left to discuss. We've only got 2 things to go before we sign on out of here. First of all is the alternate costumes. I had a kind of half-baked idea here. First of all, I figured he'd probably just have like your fairly standard color changes. So there's a red Marshal, a blue, an orange, a green, whatever. But I also thought, what if you had, with each of them, besides the base version, obviously, something from another character? So one of them, he could have Ms. Ribbon's bow. For one of them, he could have Cam's glasses. He could have the wrestler's mask. He could have Karate Joe's belt and maybe like the little wispy hairs on top of his head. He could have the reporter's skirt.
I'm going to bring my notes up to the camera.
Oh, okay.
I just want you to...
He could have the parka from the guy from a Flipper Flop.
That's a good idea.
Well, it's like the hat part. Yeah, I forgot to mention Tibby's his afro as well. I wanted to mention that one.
So
yes,
we're kind of on the same page there.
Yep, love it. So what characters did you mention that I didn't then for those alts?
I'm glad you asked, and for that I shall procure the visual cues. bring it up to the camera here.
All right, so we got Ms. Rippin, we got Cam, we got Tibby, the wrestler, Karate Joe, pair of monkeys.
Yeah, just to get because I have Marshall in pajamas as his final one.
Okay, no, I think that's one monkey. It looks like there's a drummer.
Yeah, there's a. Yeah, that's the samurai drummer, and then there's the yellow one is kind of like the saxophone monkey or the tambourine monkey.
What game is he from? Well, the monkeys are in a lot of games actually.
Yeah, it's samurai drummer.
Oh, okay.
And then
I don't recognize that guy.
Yeah, Karate Man Senior.
Oh, okay. I guess
Karate Joe's dad.
I'm assuming he would have the hair or the glasses from that.
Yes, both.
Okay. Oh, that's a lot. What would he have from the drummer and the monkey?
Oh, like the blue pom pom kind of hair with the headphones.
Okay.
And then the monkey. This is actually the closest I could find for some reason. But just imagine it's wearing sunglasses similar to the Squirtle Squad, and that's what Marshall would have there because there's very specific saxophone monkeys you play with that drummer.
And then what was the last image there? I couldn't quite tell what that was.
The last one there?
Yeah.
This is the pajama party. And I'm just saying Marshall was in pajamas.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I was probably the pink pajamas of the guy in the middle, I'm guessing.
Yeah, pink. I had him down as green just because just a little different since Tibby and Miss Ribbon are already pink.
Well, I mean, if Marshall himself is green, he could have pink pajamas.
Very true. Very true.
All right. Well, costumes are done. Easy. There's one last thing left. Home stage, which we can probably also sell super easy like. I called it Rhythm Heaven, and it's essentially like the WarioWare Inc. stage. There's some mini games that you can do pulled straight out of Rhythm Heaven. Different mini games, of course, and it already represented in Marshall. You're pulling out the same notes, I can see. And depending on how you perform them, you can get a nice little buff, just like the WarioWare stage.
Here's my notes on a home stage.
You have nothing.
Because it's like, it's Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was quick, easy, painless.
It's nice when you build it up to be more than what it's really gonna be, so that way the nerves can just get thrown right out the door.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, that's all I have on Marshall. Do you have anything else you want to say about him before we close on out of here?
I'm glad we can do him justice. That was a fun moveset. Not as painful as you thought it was going to be. Not as tedious as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
A strong moveset. Coming out of it, I think it's one of my favorites we've done, actually. And that just might be my bias towards the character. I've been stumping for years, and had my heart broken miserably when he lost our instant tiebreaker against Midna, even though Midna has deserved it, ultimately. I was still pissed that evening.
You were not
like
happy.
Like a scorned lover. But it was cool that we could do Midna and Marshall this year.
Oh, yeah.
So, both well-deserved, both strong characters. Both worthy of the top two, which they were.
Indeed.
So, good work. It was a good moveset. And maybe one day Rhythm Heaven will get its chance in Smash, just like Chrome.
Perhaps. But for now, it's the end of another episode of Supercast Brothers. Next time around, we're going to be doing another Smasher Dash, bringing on a guest, and the characters we chose are, as we normally do with guests, pretty much specifically, well, I guess that's not necessarily true, but in this case, they were specifically chosen for this guest. 4 characters, 4 franchises that they know pretty well. So, we'll see you all then, I guess. If we're not canceled by then. Bye.
Cheerio.